Committee, Indianapolis Public Library Homeschool Committee. And we have several members of the committee here today. So if you can see the people on the committee members, you can go ahead and wave to everybody. Our committee started in 2015, and our mission was to develop a plan to motivate and train library staff to best and consistently meet the diverse needs of home education families throughout our system. And last year we were really excited to host a homeschool fair to help families connect with local organizations and resources in our community. This year our goal has been to provide information sessions for parents especially, and we've moved that online, of course, because of the pandemic, but it's been going really well with our virtual sessions. Today we have Lori here with us, and I'll introduce her in just a moment. We also plan to host one more information session in November about NDPL resources, and we'll get the information about that once the final details are determined. We'd also love to hear from all of you about what topics are most important to you as homeschooling families, whether you're just starting or you've been homeschooling for a while. Feel free to share your information, share any topics in the chat that would be of interest to you, and any questions you might have for us or for Lori, of course, during the presentation. We do ask that you remain muted during the presentation just so we can make sure to hear our presenter, but we will be having a question and answer time at the end to cover all of those questions. So thank you again for joining us, and I'd like to introduce you to our speaker, Lori Berman. Lori has been active in the homeschool community for over 20 years. She homeschooled her 2 children, both of whom are now graduated and in college. Lori leads a local support group in Bartholomew County and served as a region representative for IAHE, and I'll let her explain what that is, for 3 years. Lori is active in her local church, loves old westerns, and finds much happiness and hopefully bargains at flea markets around the state. So thanks so much for joining us today, Lori.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Homeschooling is my passion, and been doing it for a long time. And so it's a privilege to come and share a little bit about how to get started and answer any questions that you guys might have. So let me first start by just explaining what the Indiana Association of Home Educators does. And I hope most of you have the handouts that we sent for you. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about some other local resources, how to get started, what a typical day might look like, and then the big question is, how do you choose the right curriculum? So let me start off though by saying we want to make sure that everybody understands homeschoolers are not against public school, and so we may disagree with them on some of the things that they are required to teach, but there are some good teachers doing good things, and so we applaud them. Homeschooling is really not for everyone. It is a way of life, not an event that happens like when you do send your kids to public school from 9 to 3 every day. It's more incorporated into your family and into your daily life, and takes place really round the clock. And so it is a beautiful journey to be on. There are a lot of benefits of it. We hope we can share some of those with you today, but it is not for everybody, and that's okay. Being prepared is going to make all the difference if you decide to homeschool. And so coming to an event like this where you can learn on how to get started, we're going to share some resources with you over the course of the next few minutes. And so equipping yourself and preparing yourself, again, is just going to make all the difference in your journey. I want to talk a little bit about support groups and what resources are available for you. The state of Indiana is divided into regions, and I think most of you are probably in the Indianapolis area, and so your region would be Region 9. And if Melinda Johnson can give a quick wave to us, she is actually your region rep for that area. If you are not from the Indianapolis area, we encourage you to go on to our website, iaahe.net, and Melinda will put a link to the page in the comments, how to get right to where the region reps are listed. So you can find the person in your area that can serve as your local resource. Melinda would know things like what support groups are available in your area. I highly encourage you to find out. If you do nothing else, get involved in a local support group, because it's hard to walk this journey alone. There's going to be days that yellow school bus looks really, really inviting. But believe me, there are many more days that outweigh that. And I think you will find that your family is stronger and I guess closer together if you walk this journey. But you are going to need some other moms to be able to bounce some things off of. So contact Melinda. She can put you in touch with groups in your area. They could be everything from a support group, like the one that I have down here in Bartholomew County. We offer field trips, moms meetings, get-togethers for the teens, that kind of thing, to maybe an educational co-op. And so she can let you know what resources are available for you. Your state organization is the Indiana Association of Home Educators, and that's who Melinda volunteers her time with. I volunteered my time with them for several years as well. And this organization, I can't speak highly enough of. They are your state group, and their primary function is to be in our state house, maintaining visibility as home educators with our government leaders. They look through bills that might be coming across that are trying to put regulations onto homeschoolers, and they advocate on our behalf. It's a wonderful group to support. There are so many great resources on their website. Again, if you check into iaahe.net, you will find just a plethora of how to get started. There's everything from videos to papers to you know, answering any question you could possibly have about homeschooling is on that website. They do have some membership options available. If you look in your handouts, you'll see them listed there. We have the free online only option. There is a basic membership for $25 a year and a premium membership at $40 a year. And how my husband and I looked at that is, gee, for $25 or $40 a year for somebody to be protecting my homeschool freedoms, that was definitely worth it. And that doesn't, you know, even begin to speak of how they bless us through the resources that they offer on their website. Just them advocating alone in our state house is so invaluable. So I encourage you to go on and join them. From a national standpoint, one of the groups that can do a lot to help you in homeschooling is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, or HSLDA. They are a nonprofit advocacy group, and the way my husband and I look at them was, you pay for health insurance, you pay for car insurance in case you need it. HSLDA is the insurance policy in case you need it. Should you ever run into any legal trouble because of homeschooling, they are able to defend you free of charge. And so, again, chances are you're not going to need it, just like you probably won't need your car insurance. But boy, if you do, it's good to have. So I encourage you to go on. They also have a wonderful website with a plethora of information available, especially for homeschooling through high school. They've got some great resources available. Now, their charge is a little bit more. And so if you're going to join them, join IAHE first, because one of the membership perks for being a member of IAHE is to get a discount code that you can then use with HSLDA. So join your state group first and then look onto the HSLDA and use that discount code. Some important things for you to know about homeschooling, and we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of things. Like I said, we're going to talk about the buzzwords that you might hear, but it's very important for you to understand what our state laws are. And so you'll see up on the screen there, I have a listing. You also have a hard copy in your handout packet with the complete state law. And when you read through that, it's going to refer to a private school. Indiana is considered private school in Indiana. So, so when it's talking about that, that means you. But let's take a look at the summary here on the screen. So Indiana, again, is considered a private school. It must be taught in English, even if English is not the primary language in your home. So make sure that you are adhering to that. You need to homeschool for an equivalent number of days, which typically is 180 days within a 12-month period. Every school district is a little bit different, but the 180 days is pretty standard in most school districts. You need to provide an equivalent education. They do not define, however, what that equivalent education looks like. And you want what's best for your children, so strive to provide them with an excellent education. I think if you do that, you'll be well within those guidelines of an equivalent education. And basically that just means that, you know, you get to choose as the parent what subjects you want to teach, what things you want to cover in your homeschooling day. And we're going to talk a little bit more about like how long that is and some various things that go along with that. But they do ask that you provide an equivalent education. Here's an important one. You need to keep attendance records. Most people either just buy an extra little calendar and mark off the days on the calendar, or you can find an attendance sheet. And that's actually, they have one on the IAHE website. And the attendance sheet, you can just, it has all the days and you just mark them off. Typically parents like to keep, you know, some keepsakes of your year. Maybe it's a special art project your kid did, or a paper that they wrote. And so at the end of the school year, you just put your calendar or your attendance sheet in a Rubbermaid tub or in a file folder with any of the other keepsakes that you want to have, and stick that in your attic, and it's there if you need it. Standardized testing is not required, so our kids don't need to take the I-STEP test. They can. There are some groups that offer that, and if you have a question about that, I can answer that at the end, but it's not required for homeschoolers. Now, withdrawing from public schools, Melinda's going to put in the comment section again the link to our website on the page with withdrawing from public school. It's super easy. IAHE has come up with a form. All you have to do is plug in your information, and it will automatically generate a letter for you to send to your school district. We do recommend that you send that via certified mail so that you can ensure that they have received that. But again, very easy. Now, if you have a high schooler, it's a little different story. A few years ago, they changed the rules a little bit, and if you have a high schooler that you're withdrawing from public school, you will need to go in. They will provide you with information on homeschooling, and you have to sign a form saying that you received that. But if you're 8th grade or below, it's simply going and filling out this withdrawal form on our website. Again, it will generate a letter to you. They'll email that to you. You can print it off and then send that certified mail to your school district. All right, so what is homeschooling really like? There are lots of ways to learn, and I highly encourage you that sitting your child in front of a whiteboard for 6 hours a day is not the way to do it. That's public school, and you're going to miss out on the benefits and the blessings of homeschooling if you do that. thinking outside the box a little bit, games, a lot of learning can be done with games, field trips, festivals. A lot of people use 4-H as their science curriculum, especially in the elementary years. There's speech and debate clubs, homeschool sports teams, spelling bees, history bees, theater groups, clubs. The old adage of you're an awkward homeschooler because you don't know how to socialize, or those socially awkward homeschoolers, is no longer the case. We have so many opportunities for your kids. Bands, orchestras, choirs, sports teams, theater clubs. There's just so much to do out there. And so utilize those and think outside the box of what schooling would really look like. Sometimes, you know, rather than sitting them in front of a computer or in front of, you know, at a desk for many hours a day, you can think about some other fun places. My kids used to love to build forts and then do their schoolwork in their fort, or out laying on the trampoline, or underneath the trampoline. So take advantage of the fact that your kids are not in a classroom, and let them just be kids and learn where they learn best. And that might be at a desk sometimes, but it doesn't need to be for all the hours each day that you're homeschooling. There's no right and wrong way to homeschool. And by that, what I mean is you need to do what's best for your family. As far as homeschooling year round or following whatever your local school calendar is, that's entirely up to you. A lot of people, if you live in a neighborhood, do prefer to follow whatever the school schedule is, so that when the kids are on school break, your kids aren't stuck inside doing schoolwork, wanting to go out and play with their friends. If you have the luxury of maybe living out in the country where you don't have a lot of neighbors, there are a lot of advantages to homeschooling year round. You know you're going to for sure get in your 180 days with and then some. You can go on vacation when other people are not on vacation, and the prices are cheaper and you don't have to wait in lines. So those are just a couple of advantages. My kids, we are not hot weather people. And so my kids never wanted to be outside playing in the summertime. They would have rather, they just wanted to do their schoolwork then. But boy, give us a cold day where they could go out in the driveway and shoot hockey pucks into the garage door. They were all about that. So I liked that flexibility. That's what we did. It was year-round schooling, and it definitely is nice. There's a nice fall day that you feel like taking off because it's beautiful outside. You can do that. So as far as morning versus afternoon, again, whatever's best for your family. I have a friend whose husband works split shift. So sometimes he's on first shift and sometimes he's on second shift. And the rule in their house is when dad is at home, we're not doing school. We're going to do family things. And then when he goes to work, whatever time it is, that's when you do school. My kids were complete opposites of, as far as my son wanted to get up in the morning and get his schoolwork done so that he could do what he wanted to do for the rest of the day. My daughter, however, not a morning person. And if I expected her little brain to comprehend math, it sure as heck wasn't going to happen at 9 o'clock in the morning. So he schooled in the morning and she schooled in the afternoon. Again, what works best for your family and your kiddos. You can think about who is going to teach. Is it going to be mom or dad or grandma? Are you going to belong to a co-op? We've had some grandparents homeschool. We've had some dads homeschool. Traditionally, it's usually the mom. That doesn't mean mom has to do all the subjects. Maybe you're going to have dad handle the math and science. Or maybe you're going to gather a group of ladies who like when my kids got to the like biology and chemistry, yeah, wasn't my favorite. So we got together a little group of moms and age uh, similarities, and we did that subject together so that the kids had somebody to do experiments with. It made it a little bit more fun. So whatever, again, works for your family. As far as where you're going to homeschool in your house, you can think about that. A lot of people just use their dining room table. Some people have the luxury of a homeschool room, maybe a spare bedroom or something that you can homeschool in, and shut the door and kind of close out everything else that's happening. So I would encourage you to just, find a place that that everybody can be together. It can be done with, one kid goes in their bedroom and one kid goes in their bedroom, but it's not nearly as fun as doing it all together as a family. So some other things that you'll need to think about are the supplies that you'll need, not only curriculum wise, but you might need to, gather pens and paper and, quality literature. And certainly don't leave out your library card, because that's going to be one of your good friends on this journey. I just added a slide this morning to talk a little bit about a lot of questions that people have are, well, how long is a homeschooling day? This slide just gives you a guideline. It's not written in stone, but homeschooling doesn't take as long as schooling at a public school. It's not that our kids are any smarter than the kids that go to public school, but when you are teaching one-on-one or one-on-3, it's going to be different. It's going to happen faster than one-on-20 or 30. So the days, you don't need as long of instruction time. Preschool, kindergarten, you're talking maybe up to an hour. And that doesn't all have to be at once. You can break that down into, 20-minute segments. First through third grade is typically 1 to 3 hours. 4th through 6th, you're looking at 2 to 4. And then 7th through 12th in that 5 to 6 hour range. Can be done in less, can be done in more. Some of the benefits of homeschooling are, if your kids are excited about something and want to keep learning about a certain subject, then hey, go for it. If you've got their interest, keep going. If it's a day that, yeah, you can just tell maybe learning's not going to take place really easily today, that's okay. There's always tomorrow. You look at, okay, can we get an hour in? Then do that. Another question that we get a lot is the dreaded, when you go to the grocery store and the cashier says, oh, you're homeschooled. Well, what grade are you in? And the kids look like a deer in the headlight because they don't know what grade they're in. Because as homeschoolers, you can teach to their strengths and pull back where they need a little extra help. And so they might be typically in 2nd grade, but maybe they are really, really good at math. And so they're doing 3rd grade math, or maybe even 4th grade math, but maybe reading is a struggle for them. And so you've got them back just a little bit, and that's okay. They're going to get caught up where they need to get caught up, and you let them thrive where they are going to thrive. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is some of the buzzwords out there. So you may have started your internet search already about curriculum, and you may have seen terms like Charlotte Mason, classical, unschooling. What is all that talking about? I gave you a handout that explains a little bit about each of those things. Those are homeschooling styles. And so, for example, Charlotte Mason, her approach is to spend lots of time in nature, a lot of time journaling, a lot of time doing copy work. So some examples of a Charlotte Mason curriculum would be My Father's World or Sunlight. I don't know if anybody's looked at any of those. Another term that you might hear is a classical education, or this takes a classical approach. Classical education is sometimes very rigorous. But it covers grammar, dialect, rhetoric in all your subject areas. Classical Conversations is actually an international co-op that follows this style. But there is other curriculum out there that also follows the Charlotte or the classical style. So don't get confused if you hear Classical Conversations, that's talking about a co-op versus the actual curriculum that's available. You might have heard about eclectic. I would say most people start off with a boxed curriculum. A boxed curriculum has all your core subjects. It's very mapped out for you. All your lesson plans are made for you. You're going to do this on this day, and it gives you a script of teacher says this is, you know, how the student should respond, kind of thing. I think most people feel more comfortable with that in the beginning. Some examples of some boxed curriculums would be Sunlight or My Father's World. After you kind of get a few years under your belt, most of us go to an eclectic style. And that's where you're going to take what you feel is the best history program and the best math program and the best language arts program, all from different companies, and you're going to put them together and make your own curriculum out of that. There's delight directed or unschooling. That's when you let the child kind of decide what they want to learn about. The principal approach uses the Bible basically as your core book for all your subjects. There's of course the traditional textbooks. An example of that would be Abeka or Bob Jones. Those are very workbook oriented and directed. And then there's unit studies. Unit studies can be fun. You can use them as your core curriculum, or you can use them as a supplement. And basically what that does is takes a topic, let's say gardening, and you learn about all different subjects. Your vocabulary words are gonna be have to deal with gardening. You're gonna learn about the science of your soil. You're gonna learn about what grows in what areas. You're gonna learn maybe about the history of gardening, and so it takes kind of all your subjects and puts them into a unit study. A lot of people that do unit studies, you may hear the term lap book, and so they will create a lap book, which is basically just taking all the things that you've learned and putting together a file folder with it. So it's a visual basically of everything that you've learned. Great to show grandparents or dad when he gets home. Those are really fun to do. So those are some of the buzzwords that you're going to hear when you start searching. Now, I do want to point out, and I don't know, Melinda, if you can post a link to this, but if you go onto YouTube, there's something called the 5 Flavors of Homeschooling by Sonia Schaefer. And she takes all of those styles and talks a little bit about each one, but then shows you what a lesson would look like in each of those styles. So I found that really helpful and valuable when I was trying to identify what style of homeschooling do we want to do. And so you can watch her. She does a lesson on bagpipes, but she does it then in the Charlotte Mason and the classical and a unit study and that kind of thing. So take a look at that video. It's definitely worth watching. It is a little bit long. I'm trying to remember, maybe an hour. I can't really remember, but definitely worth your time in watching that. Some other things that you might want to consider when you're looking at curriculum are, again, the boxed curriculum versus piecemealing, which is that eclectic style. Do you want it to be independent learning or teacher-led? Elementary years, they're going to be it's going to be teacher-led. But as they get a little bit older and can work more independently, that's definitely something you want to foster. Our goal is to have the kids, by the time they're in high school, are working pretty independently, and you are just there as a resource, mom. You're going to need to look at the cost. With the thousands of curriculum that are out there, you can homeschool for free, and you can spend thousands of dollars on homeschooling. So you got to figure out what's going to work with your budget. And there's a lot of curriculum with a lot of bells and whistles that costs a lot, but I don't know if it necessarily adds that much more value. But maybe it does, because maybe you don't want to have to look for all the resources yourself. And so having something come to you completely with all the supplies you'll need is attractive to you. You'll look at those philosophy styles and decide if you know which style is the most intriguing to you. And then what type of learner do you have? Do you have somebody that, you know, my son, as I said, he wanted to get in, get his work done. He didn't want worksheets with like lots of pictures and fluffy stuff. He just wanted, man, just give me the basics. Whereas my daughter, who's extremely artsy, was all about the lap books and the pretty pictures and hands-on things. She was definitely a kinesthetic learner. So you need to consider all those things when you're looking at different curriculum. I don't think that I put it on here. I did not, but I want to also point out there's a lady by the name of, oh goodness, Kathy Duffy. Kathy with a C, D-U-F-F-Y, and she reviews curriculum and compares curriculum. So she'll review it, tell you the pros, the cons, what kind of learner that it fits best at. She looks at the price of it. So Kathy Duffy Reviews is another great resource that you might want to look into. And on your next couple pages in your handout, I gave you homeschooling curriculum by topic, and another one that just says homeschooling curriculum, making sense of it all. And you'll notice on those two sheets, it breaks it down again by subject or by style. And those are some good places for you to start to look. Again, there's so many different curricula choices out there. It can be overwhelming. You're either going to love that part of the journey, getting in there and researching and looking at all the different kinds that are out there, or you are going to dread it. So these two last pages in your handout will hopefully give you a good jumping off point and help you get started in looking for what the best curriculum for your family is. So that's all I have formally. I don't know, Melinda, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, just that, you know, like you said, the regional representatives are your go-to people. They know where all everything is. If there's specific questions and you can't find it on our website, which is where you should go first, then we can help you find that directly, because sometimes they're a little bit buried. We do have the e-course. It's a 2-week course on homeschooling, which can go more in depth with your philosophies and styles and different things. There's a lot of videos on there. And then we also have a conference we did virtually this spring that will have topic specific lectures in it that you can find out more information. But you can also just you know, email me or any of the representatives, and we can help you from there. And then we do have, the IAHE does have groups on Facebook, so you can find those from the website, but you can also get there from Facebook. There's a lot of chatter on Facebook, so. Yep.
In the packet, in your handout packet, I put Melinda's information. It's got her email address, her phone number, how to get a hold of her. Again, if you are in the Indianapolis area in Region 9, she's your region rep. If, however, you are outside that area, definitely check out the website and look for your region rep for your specific area, because they're going to have your local support groups that are available. So that was a lot of information. What questions do you guys have?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question, or you can also just type it in the chat and we'll make sure that that Lori can see that as well.
Well, don't hesitate to reach out again to the IAHE. They are just a wonderful organization, definitely worth joining. Check out their website. When you go onto their front page of their website, you'll see 3 blue circles, and one of those is how to get started homeschooling. And so you can click on that and see all the different resources that are available on there for you. It can be a little bit overwhelming when you are first getting started, and so let us help you. Don't do that alone.
We had a question, do homeschool families need to file anything with the state of Indiana after they withdraw from public school?
No. Sometimes you might hear from some people that you have to register with the state, and that is not true. You simply need to fill out your withdrawal letter, make sure your school has received that, and that's all that's required.
And then what are some signs that it isn't working well versus it is a hard day?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think if you're going to have a bad day now and then. That's just how it is. Some kids are going to test, especially in the beginning, the boundaries, because you've been known as mom, and now you're suddenly mom and teacher. And so you might feel a little bit of pushback from that. It will take a little bit of getting used to, and you setting some ground rules. But everybody has bad days. Some days just don't work out. Kids have meltdowns and or they're just not getting the lesson. And it's those days that you remember. It's about relationship. Don't sacrifice the relationship with your kids for a moment. If it's not working, that's okay. Take a deep breath. Take an hour off, try to regroup, see if if everybody can come back after maybe a little bit of time by themselves, regroup, try it again. If you need to take the whole day off, take the whole day off. It's really not hard to get your 180 days in that 365-day period. So don't sweat it if you need to take a day off. I would say if you're consistently having hard day, is it just because of the curriculum that you're using? Is it only in a certain subject matter? Maybe you've got a struggling reader or something. But it's those times that you call your region rep and you say, I need to talk through this with somebody. Also, your local support groups. The support group in my area, we've got 200 families. And so we'll have moms come on our Facebook page and say, I'm really struggling with this. And has anybody else walked through this? And they'll get people who can give them advice. And so having that support, both locally and then using your region rep, is going to help you on those days that you aren't sure. This isn't working. What else can I try?
I'm curious, Lori, is there are a lot of difference between states in terms of homeschooling laws and regulations.
Yes, yes. We are very blessed in Indiana to have very homeschool supportive laws. And that is in large part because we have IAHE working for us in the State House. We also have several state legislatures who are homeschool dads. And so if they see something coming down the pike that is going to hurt homeschoolers, they will alert IAHE, hey, you need to take a look at this bill. So some states you do have to register. Some states you have to either choose from a few set curriculum that the state puts forth and says you can use this and this only. Other states you have to get it approved. Some states you have to be have your kids tested, or maybe have somebody come in and approve what you're doing on a quarterly basis kind of thing. So in Indiana, we do have very homeschool friendly laws. And it's funny though, in the states that do have all those regulations, their kids aren't performing any better. Homeschool regulations is not what is needed. Parents want to provide a great and excellent education for their kids. And so putting regulations on has not shown any difference in the learning ability or testing of homeschooled kids.
Okay, thanks. And we had one more question. Do you have any tips for working through the subjects your child doesn't enjoy?
Oh, that's another great question. I would say try to make it fun as much as you can. Again, thinking outside the box, if your child's learning addition, play a board game, and when they're rolling those die, they have to add those numbers together. You can Google, math games and history games. But the fact of the matter is there are some subjects that, everybody's got those subjects that their kids don't like. For me, my son just, bless his heart, he just hated math. So you do what you can to make it fun, but fact of the matter is you have to learn your math facts, fun or not. So.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. Anyone other questions today? And as Lori said, feel free to contact them, or you can also contact us at the library if you have any questions about library resources. But we'd just like to thank you for joining us today, and thanks Lori for taking the time to be here, and Melinda as well, and for sharing with us. And we hope everybody has a great day, great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.